Okay guys, so today what we are doing, we are actually working on the other BMW that is in the house today. The issue that we are having with this one is that when the car is at an idle, the braking isn't as good as it should be. It's kind of rock hard solid, it's not connecting, and it just isn't, the braking isn't the best. So we went through the whole process of trying to change the vacuum pump, replace that, got a new one in there. That didn't work, so we are going to be replacing the vacuum line next, but that's on order. We don't have that ready yet, but just to be sure, we like to make sure the cars are in really good working order. We are moving to the brake booster, replacing that today. Now, already took the car apart. I didn't show that, but I have it all ready to go. We are going to be putting the new brake booster in, and then we are going to be bleeding the system, bleed the brakes. So that's going to be interesting to see if that works. There's a couple things when it comes with BMW is we're going to do it manually first. Hopefully that works. We don't have to go any further. But these Beamers are known for sometimes needing the ISTA software in order to do the brake system. So if that's the case, we've got to hook the laptop up to it and bleed the system through the software. So we're just going to dig in and see how far we can get. Start by replacing that brake booster and see how far we can get. So we changed out the vacuum pump, but that didn't work because when we took that off, there was a ton of oil into the vacuum pump, which made me think that the issue went further down the line. So we went next to the vacuum line, but what happens is there's no there's no stopper in this. So when the oil was able to transfer all the way through the pipe, and there was nothing to kind of prevent it from going a backflow. So this is kind of like a shady piece for BMW, as if we don't need another shady piece when it comes to BMWs. But this piece was not working. So we have a new line on order that will have that backflow capability, so the oil will not be able to run from the vacuum pump all the way to the brake booster, which is the thing that we are looking at today. So this is the brake booster. We took that out. We got a new one that we received today. We're going to put that in. And hopefully that brake booster will solve our problem, and then we'll put the new line in, and hopefully this car will be back to working order. Okay, so now we have the new brake booster. One thing that I'm just doing really quick is comparing it to the old brake booster just to make sure that the piece is exactly the same. So I'm going to show you how this old one came out. So it was positioned like this with the sticker at the top and the vacuum hose connected here on the left hand side, so I want to make sure that the new one goes straight in that way. But we're going to feed this through. This is what's going to actually connect to the brake pedal, and this goes to the cylinder reservoir. So this is actually a really tight squeeze. We had a hard time getting it out. Do not want to break or bend these brake lines that are here, so they're very fragile, so it was really kind of hard and difficult to get it out, so we're going to be just as careful trying to get it back in so we don't damage anything. We also had to remove the wiper unit that was up here just to give us plenty of room to get that old one out. So we're going to get this back in and then start putting it back together. Okay, so I have the new one here, and there are 2 pinholes and 2 bolts, which I'm actually going to line up here with this bracket here. Now, a trick to this bracket that's really helpful is you can see that it has some play here. And I will show you when I get to the inside, but there was a screw that we just loosened ever so slightly, which gave this play, which made it a lot easier to get out. So we'll get to that. go. Okay, now I am lining up those 2 bolts and those 2 pins. The bottom bolts aren't quite lining up like they should, so I just need to find that. 4, 3. Alright, I have it in position here, but because we loosened that screw in the back end and that bracket is a little bit loose, it has some play, I'm having a hard time lining up the bolts and the pins. So I got a partner on the inside who I'm going to maneuver around until we can get that placed in together. Ah, already good. Got it? That was easy. Are you going to screw it in? Lock it? Okay, now I have the fluid reservoir that we had earlier. We went ahead and put some silicone on the gasket here just to make sure that it has that tight seal. And it is messy, very, very messy. So I have paper towels here. I have a rag down here to protect anything else beneath. But now I just need to insert it into the hole, again being very careful. Again, being very careful so that we don't damage the brake lines. What's happening is that the bolt here is really secured in, but this one, it's just ever so slightly.
Let's do it.
Can you take that again? You feel like when you did that, it pushed this side? There.
Now it's
There.
lined up perfect.
Great.
Yeah. That's betrayal, bud. That's total betrayal. When your tire pops, it's a betrayal.
So I just finished screwing the bolts in. I used 13 millimeter. I had to use the little stubby on the one on the right here, and then just a ratchet on the one on the left. We also went ahead and re-tightened the brake lines, re-hooked those up. Good thing to note too is before you get this piece in, these little brake lines, this one on the right hand side needs to be below the fluid reservoir, so the fluid reservoir. So just make sure that this one is underneath. We didn't have it underneath, so what we did is we just loosened it from the inside, and we're able to actually just kind of wiggle it and actually kind of force this line down, which ended up working. So got lucky there. Okay, so now that we have the new brake booster in and our fluid reservoir and everything's hooked up, it's time to start putting the car back together again. So hopefully that goes smoothly.
Go ahead.
Okay, now that the brake booster is in, I need to take this pin and feed it through the pedal right here to connect the two. So I'm going to put this pin in, and the bracket is going to slip right over it. I'm going to spin this pin around until it seats, and it can go up, feed all the way through. There you go. This bracket. And there. Voila! Okay, that's done. One thing that I want to note too is this piece, you gotta be super careful when taking it out and working around it. For the life of us, we could not get this out of this little area here, and it's the OBD, so you want to be very careful. It's gonna be a bad day if you screw this up, but yeah, complete pain in the arse. Try really hard to be careful with it and work around it. Okay, now we need to get the bolt on the brake booster to lock it in. So we have that other bolt in place right now, and it actually was easier having someone push the brake booster from the other side in order to get that bolt really snug. The trick we're using right now is we got a socket, a really long extension socket, or a long socket with an extension, and we have blue painter's tape with the bolt in there just to kind of give it, make it snug so that it won't slip. Because the last thing you want to do is have the bolt fall down behind this carpet here, which happened with the first time the bolt went all the way down. It actually went over to this side over here. We were able to get it with a magnet catcher, but we wasted, I don't know, 15 minutes?
Too long.
Too long.
And too many swear words.
Yeah, trying to get that bolt out. So now that that brake booster is snug in there, we are going to screw on this bolt down in here.
Pedal.
Right in here.
Yep. Is that a better shot?
Let's see if we can get it in here. Okay, now we have that second bolt in there. It's nice and tight. And we're going to tighten back up that original bolt that we had loosened earlier in order to give that bracket some play. That is right up here in that area. So we're going to go ahead and tighten that.
Give it one more snug.
All right, for right now, what we did, we put this vacuum hose back in. We need to put this in here for right now while we wait for the new one. But this at least will allow us to bleed the system while we wait for that new piece to come in, and that will be just an easy replace.
There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave.
So now you can see all the bubbles that are coming out of the system. That's exactly what we want to have happen. Continue to do this until we don't see any more. And the fluid is completely clear. That was a lot of bubbles. Open. Close. Open. Close. Okay, we're gonna start it up and see if we have any brake activity. That's back together. What do you think? Any luck? All right, I'll get the starter. All right, if you don't have one of these, this is absolutely a must for cars that you have problems starting. Just hook it up to the red, to the black, turn it on, and start the car right up. Boom. Works every time. Absolutely love it. Moving. Moving? Yeah. So this one is still moving even though you're braking. That sucks. But this one, you're moving. Now do you brake? I'll tell you when it stops. So I guess that means we're moving to the ISTA program, so we're gonna give that a shot. Okay, so we got the ISTA program pulled up, connected to the car, and we are hoping that this software will solve the problem. My ET guy working hard on the situation. Hopefully this works. Okay, first what we started here was we went to operations on the top left-hand corner, and then we went to vehicle information while we're waiting for it to recognize the car.
Right.
And we're doing a full reading on the car, and then we will go to vehicle management after that. Okay, so going to fault memory and seeing what it says.
Got the
Brake fluid level.
We already knew these two were bad, and we fixed that last week, so it's the brake system. So we're going to go to vehicle management, service functions. It's chassis and suspension. DSC, brake bleeding routine, brake bleeding procedure. Alright, so we're going to hit this ABL. That's what we want to do. I'm going to hit display here. Alright, so we're going to follow the instructions, and we're going to read through this, and we'll be back at you.
Okay guys, let us explain what we just did. So we were down there, we were bleeding the brakes, we did the ISTA system, and what happened is we went around and we bled the brakes with the system, and then we tried to, when we head up on the quick jacks, we tried to actually see if the brake system was working. But I think what was going on is because it was up on the quick jack, the tires off, there was no traction, and it seems simple, right? The anti-lock brakes kept catching in because they were just so light, there was no traction, and we couldn't determine if the brake system was working. So what we did is, along with the ISTA software, we also kind of did another manual bleeding the brakes. We went around, we did it 5 times, the entire set. Probably a little overkill, but we wanted to make sure that we were doing it right, and we were doing it accurate, and it worked, because then we had to put the wheels back on and then go test drive it to make sure it worked. Well, it did. So that combination actually worked. The brake system is working way better than it was before. So we are happy now with everything that went wrong. Is now fixed with this, well, for now. this part is fixed. We still have some other things that we need to do to work on this car, as well as some other pieces that we're working on. So that's it for now. Appreciate the time. Appreciate you guys watching this video. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Tuco. It just wouldn't be appropriate if Tuco wasn't in the video. Do you want to say hi? No? Okay.